Good morning from the Sunshine State. Broadcasting from Palm Beach County, it's the Fishing in Florida Show. Sundays from 8 to 10 a.m. on the WCET FM network. And now, here's your host, Riscala.
Good morning, good morning. Hope everyone is doing fine out there. The weather is not cooperating very well here in South Florida this morning, but you know what? It's going to be a great day to do something out there today. And at least we're going to start off in the right way. We're going to start off with some great people here coming up in our lineup. And I have my co-host, Carolyn Stash, to thank for that. I didn't realize that you knew so many different people locally. I should have thought about that, but she does. She just knows everybody locally. And she has been a real vital component of getting all these people together and very interesting guests. And so I want to welcome Carolyn with Atlas Trax, who I like to say, if you want to protect what you love to the max, you got to talk to Carolyn at Atlas Trax. Good morning, my dear.
Well, good morning, Riscala. I looked out the window this morning. It was a little darker and a little windier than it was yesterday.
Yeah, and you know, it seems like the last, almost a week or so, and particularly the last several days, the wind was just unbelievably strong. And I'm probably 15 miles away from the ocean. I couldn't imagine what it was like at the ocean. So I know you're a little closer than I am, so you're probably experiencing it more than I am.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I get to look out the window here. We live on a canal about maybe less than a half mile from the beach. Get to see the flag directions when I decide if I'm going to go out fishing or not. But the palm trees are a little bit bendy now, almost like a light tropical storm.
Well, you know, speaking of the beach conditions today, particularly this morning, I don't know if they'll get better as the day goes on, but right now we've got, they're still saying 20 to 25 miles an hour and gusting, a high risk for rip currents, and always know where the rip currents are. When you go out to the beach, if you're going to go in that water, always observe before you jump in, before you go in. All that water that's coming to shore has to go back out somewhere, and you don't want to get caught in that stuff. It is very, very spooky. I've had several occasions where I've been caught up in it, and it is a very scary thing. I don't care how strong of a swimmer you are, you're not going to beat it. So just if you'll take a look around before you run into the water, you'll see that all that water is leaving somewhere, and it's pretty noticeable if you look for it. Stay away from that area, and we're going to have a lot of that going on today because of the surf conditions. The marine conditions, there's a small craft advisory out for the day, has been out, and looks like it's going to continue on until at least tomorrow because of the conditions that are out there. They're claiming there are 20 to 25 knot winds with gusts to around 30. Seas are going to be 6 to 8 feet, occasional seas to 10 feet. Oh my gosh, along the coast, and 8 to 10 feet with occasional 13 feet out in the Gulf Stream. It's not going to be a pleasant day for us with the small. If you got one of those big ocean liners, knock yourself out. Otherwise, do some back fishing. We got canals, we've got backwaters, we've got intercoastals, we've got bridges. You can fish under the bridges. We've got a lot of places that have, especially down in the Keys, have catwalks on the bridges. So there's other places and other things we can do. May not be able to enjoy the boat, but, you know, like I said, there's other options. Have you done any fishing this last week?
No, Riscala, I wasn't lucky enough to get out. I was hoping to do a little ride-along. As you know, the last couple of days was one of the richest tournaments in Florida called the Jimmy Johnson tournament. He's the former coach of the Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
Those folks went out there. It was 98 boats. Prize money was, top boat was $238,000. Hoping to freeload ride on a couple of our customers' boats with the trackers, but they really get serious and down to business when they get out. So they were out targeting, meat fish and sailfish was the primary. But no, I wasn't lucky enough. Next year, I'm going to get a lady spot on one of those boats.
That is a very, very classy tournament. I had the opportunity and the honor of being. Gosh, I think it was last year, maybe a year before that. Time is such a blur for me. Anyway, I was at one of them and met some really, really neat people there, and got to meet Jimmy as well. Got to personally meet him, and it's just a top of the line kind of thing. Now, From what I understand, I think you told me it was over yesterday.
Yesterday was it was a Thursday Friday tournament for the main event, and then a pro-am tournament yesterday. And believe it or not, when I go out fun fishing, usually you would catch a 30-pound kingfish or a 25-pound dolphin, and the winning dolphin for the prize money in this tournament was only 10 pounds.
Doesn't that go to show you? See, I've said many times, when you go fishing, it's kind of like the lottery. You can win big, or you can come back, empty-handed. You never know. And it's again, this is just testimony to what I tell people. That's one of the most intriguing things about going fishing. You never know what you're going to catch. You don't know if you're going to catch anything. I mean, hopefully you do. Fortunately for me, the amount of times that I've gone out versus, and let me back up a minute. The amount of times I've gone out and been skunked, as we call it, are far and few between versus the times I've gone out to go fishing. I went fishing this just a couple of days ago. Took my grandson in one of the little lakes that we have around the corner here, and we had a couple of bites here and there. But we didn't bring anything up. But he's just had a great time watching the bobber, keeping his eye on the bobber, and watching the bobber go up and down. We didn't spend a lot of time out there, only about a half an hour or so. But it reminded me of when I was growing up and how much excitement I used to have waiting for that bobber, just watching that bobber. His eyes were locked onto that bobber like an eagle. It was amazing. And it was enjoyable for him, and it was enjoyable for me to watch him. So one of the things that I got to do this last week, a little bit of fishing, didn't bring anything up, but sure had a good time.
But you had that 30 minutes of time where you got to just sit and talk, which is the most important part of this whole fishing experience anyways.
Yeah.
And to see the excitement of him, whether he caught something or not, is just priceless for you, and I'm so glad you got out to do that.
Yeah, I think it was a little too hot, because by the time we got out there, we were walking the dog, and I said, okay, we have a park right down the street from here, literally within walking distance from me. And so I said, we'll go down to the park and we'll do some fishing down there. And there's not a whole lot of fish in that area to begin with, but I think it got a little hot, because by the time we got down there, it was like 4:30, and the water by that time had warmed up quite a bit, so there wasn't a lot of activity. But again, his eyes were locked onto that thing. I was watching him. It was enjoyable to watch him be so excited and bring back memories of me being excited, waiting for that fish to bite, waiting for that bobber to go down, and then your heart starts pumping. It was a pretty good deal. So anyway, it's not going to be a great day for us if you've got a small boat, but there are plenty of other things you can do. Like I mentioned, we just went fishing in one of the little lakes that we have. My gosh, we've got tens of thousands of lakes around the state. We've got, I don't know how many canals we've got. There's plenty of places you can go when the weather is not going to cooperate with you with regard to the ocean. There's plenty of other places you can go and still have a great time, still do some fishing. I appreciate you giving us the feedback about the Jimmy Johnson thing. I don't know why, but I thought it was over today, and I have one of my guests who comes on regularly is Mike Simcoe, and he was fishing that tournament, and I was going to have him on next week, thinking that it was over today. So I'll have to get with him, and we'll get some feedback from him with regard to how that came out as far as the fishing team he was on.
Right. Yep, he was on Real Captivating, the 62-foot Viking out of Sailfish, and those boys, they worked real hard, and I believe they got 4 sailfish, so
wow.
They didn't really make it in the money. They worked really, really hard, but I checked in with them during the day, and
cool.
wanted to have Mike back on.
Oh, great, yeah, all right. So I had my wires crossed. I don't know why. I just thought it was over today, but it sounds like I have Robert on. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning.
Go ahead,
Good
Carolyn.
morning, Robert.
How is everyone? Good morning. How's everybody doing?
I'm enjoying the dark morning.
Yeah, it is that, isn't it?
She sounds like a vampire. Blah, don't be afraid. It's only the dark morning. Ah.
That's perfect.
It's cloudy out, too. It's even better. It's dark and cloudy.
Yeah, it is quite cloudy where I'm at as well. And windy. How's it where you're at, Robert?
No wind, but very cloudy.
Oh, my. Well, you're not too far from me, but I guess I could say not really windy, but gusty. I get a gust every once in a while, and the gusts are pretty strong. Yesterday it was pretty strong. Yesterday I was surprised.
Yesterday was very bad, yeah.
I was really
looking
surprised.
at the seas for today, though. It's 8 to 10 feet out there, so
Yeah.
it's not going to be a lot of fun.
Not very welcoming for the small guys out there. Like I said, if you got an ocean liner, knock yourself out. Otherwise, there's a lot of other things we can do. Don't have to go out in the ocean. There's plenty of canals, plenty of lakes, plenty of other places to go. Are you headed for the park this morning?
Not till later. They've got something going on out there later. We're going to go out and help. So.
Oh, great.
We'll see.
Great. So,
we'll see.
With all of the wind and everything, I know I think I know the answer, but did you get any fishing in last week?
No, not a bit.
Yeah.
Not a bit.
I figured. I don't think I'll... Go ahead.
I've got some stuff planned for April, but not much for this month. I'm going to run up to Georgia here in a couple of weeks and see my daughter. But...
Oh, wow. That's what it's about, my friend. Family, family, family.
Yep.
And you know, Rascala, on a day like this where it looks like it's going to be potential rain down the road, there's a lot of great indoor things in our local area, too. People can run down to the Bass Pro Shops and look at the fish aquariums that they have there. There's the International Game Fishing Association. They've got a beautiful museum and mock fishing games and all kinds of information about fishing. So even if it gets totally washed out, you can always still somehow factor fishing in your day.
Cool.
Yeah, you can go stock up on your tackle for next week.
Yeah. That's what Pam would say on a day like today. I'd be maintaining my equipment. To be taking care of everything, making sure that the lines are worthy and they're not frayed. And if you have to change, now's the time to change. You got to upgrade your tackle. Now's the time to do it, or organize. Now's the time to do it. Great ideas, because again, it's not going to last long. We know that this kind of weather will come and go, and typically what's in between it is some gorgeous stuff. I'll tell you what, the temperature, I couldn't ask for a better temperature. Temperature is just...
and the weather does come and go, but, the fishing goes on. And
that's right.
There's still people sending in fishing pictures. I mean, the redfish bite and the snook bite and the speckled trout have been great. And
wow.
If the people that are blessed to be down in the Keys and not have to go all the way out, they can just go into one of these little patch reefs. Are catching lots of yellowtail and mutton snapper. So.
I'm curious, the speckled trout, where was that happening?
Vero, Sebastian.
Oh, wow. I didn't think we had them on this side of the state.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Wow.
Yep, we've got them here in Stewart.
See, that's how ignorant I am.
Now that the seagrass is coming back, the fish are coming back, too. So.
Yeah, I know from being on the other side of the state when I was stationed up in Panama City when I was many, many years ago. We had them up there, and gosh, that was one of my favorite fish to catch up there. That was great eating. You can cook them, you can barbecue them, you can fry them, you can bake them. It's just good stuff. Wow. Didn't realize they were here.
But there's great inshore fishing in Florida, so people don't have to get offshore to go fishing. So.
Go ahead, Carol.
And Rascala, we'll have Carol be calling in a little bit, and I think she was out doing some trout fishing too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'd like to hear what she's got going on. Let's find out. Is she going to be on the West Coast today?
Yep, she's out on the West Coast.
Great. So we'll get a little bit of feedback from the West Coast. I missed that feedback coming from the other side of the state and see what's going on over there as well. That's good news. Well, Robert, anything coming up that we want to have share with the listeners?
Well, just that April normally begins. The mahi start to appear in great numbers. And
nothing normal about that.
I always look forward to that time of year. So
one
of my favorite things to eat and one of my favorite things to catch. So.
Oh gosh, you're preaching to the choir, my friend. But you know what I found?
To go up sometime in April, and from then it runs through till August, and then some. So
I think
ready.
I think that the characteristic of them coming and going is changing. I think it was you who told me that they caught some off of the West Coast out in really cold water where they normally wouldn't be, right? Was that you?
They caught some in 58-degree water in Oregon.
Yeah.
Tuna fish.
Yeah. I think so. I think we're seeing a change.
And they weren't small ones either. These were in the 20-pound range, and they caught 3 of them while they were tuna fishing.
So, yeah, so I think what we're seeing is a change because Angelia, she's down there in the Keys. She's saying they're still hitting. They're still. It's almost like they didn't go away down there. So that's.
Oh, they're still around, but they're not around in the great numbers that they are when they come in April and May. So.
Yeah, but I remember it as them going away like on vacation. See ya, bye. Just weren't any around to be had until the next season came around. Then they all started to show up again. Guess that's why they called schools, schools of fish. Ha ha ha.
But there's nothing worse than coming up on a school of dolphin when you have the most beautiful live baits and beautiful skirted hooks, and they just look at you out through the water, and none of them bite. There's nothing worse than that.
I've never experienced that. You've experienced that, Carolyn?
Feeling.
Huh?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you what happened, Riscala. In that particular case, they were so close to the boat, we took a gaff and we started just gaffing them and picking them up and putting
Holy
them in the
smokes.
boat.
Wow.
It was the craziest thing. We were catching fish by just hooking them with a gaff.
Holy smokes. Someone else told me about that. I've never experienced that. My experience of them are like ravaging, almost like ravaging dogs of the sea. I mean, they get near anything, they just almost like piranha. They go crazy. That's what I've seen. Now, we did come up on a school, I think they're called Blue Runners, I'm not sure. But there were literally hundreds, maybe thousands of these in the water. And we were trying to catch some for bait. And they were looking at us like, hey, yeah, good luck. And you could literally reach down in the water and gaff them. We didn't do that. I didn't think about that. But we could have easily gaffed. There were so many of them. It was like the boat was floating on top of them all. But I have never experienced where the dolphin weren't biting. When you were experiencing that, were you chumming the water as well?
Well, we were pulling some nice little skirted hooks. We had live bait. We had a little bit of chum, and they literally were swarming the boat. You almost could have walked on them.
Holy smokes.
And nothing. Big hooks, little hooks, no hooks, nothing. They just were swimming and cruising.
That would frustrate me to no end.
One of our friends, I've never seen this before, he took a gaff, and he just grabbed one right in the body and put it in the boat.
Gosh.
And I'll tell you, when they get in the boat, when you gaff them, it looked there was blood.
Even when you don't gaff them, it's blood everywhere. So I can imagine when you gaff.
That's for sure. You get into a big school of mahi, and it looks like you're at the ER.
Yeah, looks like you've literally been in war. There were times we come back and the boat would just be blood everywhere all over the boat, and people would kind of look at us a little bit and like, well, are these guys really fishing, or are they out there taking care of something? But that's what happens.
And we gaffed these fish from the front of the boat, and so you can imagine when they came off the gaff, they wiggled all the way down to the back of the boat just because of the pitch of the boat. You could just imagine what that boat looked like.
Lots of cleaning to be done, yeah.
It's surprising something nobody called the cops on you guys. You see that boat over there? There's blood everywhere.
It's funny, weird things that you have while fishing.
Yeah.
We were out one day, and there's this big floating yellow bucket. And we go past the big yellow bucket. It's a barrel, actually, big yellow barrel. And there's a couple of mahi under it, and we're trying to get the mahi. We finally got the mahi to bite. And Aaron Sutcliffe was with us, and he looks inside the barrel, and he goes, there's a whole family of triple tail living inside that barrel. So we were trying to hand line these triple tail out of the barrel. They wouldn't come out. Finally, Aaron goes, get close to the barrel. He just hooks the whole barrel with a gaff, stood it up, and we fished inside the barrel.
In the ocean. I love it.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. That's amazing. I had a similar experience, but it looked like a big piece of a dock that had broken off, maybe in a storm or something. This thing was pretty big. It was at least 20 by 20. And we kept circling and circling and fishing and circling because we could see the fish up underneath it. But they would come out and go in, come out and go in. We really weren't very successful. We had a couple of hits, and we brought in a couple of mahis from it. But there were so many more underneath it, and they were like skittish for some reason. I couldn't really understand what was going on. So after probably maybe 15, 20 minutes of realizing, this is a perfect setup, but they're just not cooperating, And it wasn't just mahi. There was a whole bunch of other fish underneath this thing. We decided that we're going to go off and go do some other things. So we went off, we pulled some plastic for a while. And when we came back in the shore, the Marine Patrol was waiting for us. Apparently this floating thing there was pot up underneath us as well. And they thought we were involved in trying to retrieve this pot. So they searched my boat. They were looking for false cavities in the boat. I was astonished. I couldn't believe what was going on. But yeah, that's what happens if you're out there and you.
Apparently, mahi and square grouper under floating thing.
We could see mahi. We could see there was a sailfish. Could have been a small marlin, but I think it was a sail down deep. Where you could just get a glimpse of whatever it was. And it was pretty big. It wouldn't come up. What else? There was the little blue guys. I can't think of the name of them. There was lots of them around, and it seemed as though this was like their area of safety. They didn't want to leave it for anything, and it was almost impossible to get anything up underneath there. The few times that we were able to get up underneath there was a few times that we caught fish. They didn't want to come out. Maybe it was the heat, because it was around noon or around 1 o'clock, if I remember right. So maybe it was the heat. I don't know what it was, but in the short of it all, we couldn't entice them to come out and play. So we left, and gosh, I didn't realize that there was a Coast Guard aircraft that had flown over us a couple of times. I really didn't think anything about it. Apparently they were flying over us to check us out, because we had a surprise when we got back to the dock. So one of the wonderful fish stories that I share with people, it's almost, it's unbelievable, but they're out there.
Oh, yes, they are.
And I'm glad to see the guys are doing their jobs as far as, keeping the oceans a little safer and for all of us. So that's good, but you never want to be boarded by the Coast Guard.
Yeah, it was really a shock. They were literally waiting. It wasn't the Coast Guard. It was the Florida Water, FWC, whatever they are. I think that's here. It was the guys, the cops on the water. It wasn't the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard flew over and I guess called it in. And when we got back, the Marine Patrol, that's who it was. Florida Marine Patrol. And yeah, it was no fun. It was embarrassing. You guys, there was like 4 of them waiting for me to come in. When I first came in, I didn't even think anything about it. I came in, so I'd do my stuff, back the car down. As I back the car down, I see 2 of them are talking to my friends, and before I know it, there's 2 more. They're asking me to pull the boat out.
I'm glad they're doing their job, because we've been boarded a couple of times during lobster season, and they just come in to check to make sure that what you're doing is legit. And it's good because they catch people all the time. They caught those people out of Miami with 150 short lobsters. And
oh my gosh, I didn't hear about that.
Was it last year sometime? But
wow,
they do their job, and because they do their job, there's more fish out there for the rest of this.
Yeah, I agree.
Less poaching.
We've had many different testimonies about how the conservation has played a key role in the ability for us to enjoy, because there's so many people now. In comparison, when I was growing up, my gosh, it was wasn't anything like what we've got today. So there has to be a degree of.
The difference with them is the American red snapper season, which has been ridiculous for years. But I don't know where you guys fish, but out of Stewart, if you go out for grouper fishing or whatever, any type of bottom fishing, in the course of most days, we will catch anywhere from 5 to 10 American red snapper. This is a fish that's supposed to be, challenged, shall we say, and I just don't see it. And it's not just us. I hear this from every captain on the East Coast, just about. I don't understand what the deal is there, but they're protecting the American red snapper. I can tell you that. And, I'm not sure that it's needed, but they are doing that. And the other thing, I think we could probably use a short season for Goliath grouper at this point. There's so many of them out there now. If you fish on the Gulf side of the Keys off those wrecks, you pretty much have to reel really fast on whatever you catch, because you're not going to get it to the boat if you don't. There's so many Goliath groupers, they just inhale everything that you're trying to get to the boat. So,
I've had some experiences with them. They're literally monsters of the water. All right, we're up against the break, and that's what happens when we're having a good time. We're actually past that time, but we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back. You're listening to Fishing in Florida this morning with Riscala and Carolyn, and Robert with the Florida Fisherman magazine. Before we go, I want to give you an opportunity, Robert, if people want to find out more about the magazine. Let's get that information out there.
They can check it out at www.flfishmag.com. Looking forward to the new issue with Carolyn Stash on the cover.
Woo!
And it's going to be a great article.
All right.
Awesome, Robert. Have a great Sunday.
You too.
You're listening to the Fishing in Florida show with your host, Riscala Stevens. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers. But that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Thinking of moving? Before you do anything else, call Diane Whittick. She provides a concierge service. Things like having your home or condo packed and shipped, even take care of your home repairs or upgrades. Diane has the expertise to get it done. As a seller, you will have constant contact. She will furnish you with bids on any services that might need completion: air conditioning, plumbing, handyman, and even cleaning. Living up north and have a home to sell here in South Florida? Just give her the keys, address, and a signature. Your payment will be wired when the property is sold. That's right, Diane does it all. Thinking of buying? Diane has great listening skills. Tell her what you want, give her your budget, and like a genie, she will make your real estate wish come true. There's no regrets when you choose Diane Whittick. To reach Diane, call 561-247-5478. That's 561-247-5478.
While other stations just talk a good game, we win it.
Hey, sounds like somebody's having a lot of fun. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing in Florida, where the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper, so I'm fishing in Florida. Oh yeah, fishing in Florida.
Good morning from the Sunshine State. Broadcasting from Palm Beach County, it's the Fishing in Florida show. Sundays from 8 to 10 a.m. on the WCET FM network. And now, here's your host, Riscala.
All right, we are back. It is the Fishing in Florida show. Good morning. If you're just joining us, we will have archives set up. And you can access those archives by going to our Fishing in Florida show on Facebook. If you'll go to Facebook and give us a like, that makes us more relevant in the searches. And we want to make sure that we say thank you to all of our different affiliates. Of course, WCET FM 101.7 out of Columbia. That is our home station, and that is where our servers are for the Internet. HighPoint Radio 1690 AM out of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Thank you, HighPoint Radio. They are also carrying our shows. KYAH 540 AM, Utah's Talk Authority. Thank you, KYAH. And Marina Rock Radio. They are Yacht Rock Radio's sister station. We are being carried on Marina Rock Radio, who is a tune-in station as well. So if you have the tune-in app, you can go to Marina Rock Radio. You can find us there. And if you don't have that, or if you are on Facebook and you're a Facebook fanatic, you can go to our Facebook page and click on Contact Us. And you can listen to us that way. We try to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to listen and join in. This morning, I have Carolyn with Atlas Trax with me. If you want to protect what you love to the max, you got to talk to Carolyn at Atlas Trax. Welcome back, Carolyn.
Good morning, Riscala. I'm glad to be here.
I think we have Betsy Burden on the line. Let's find out. Betsy, is that you?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning, Betsy.
How are you, Carolyn? How are you, Riscala?
I'm doing well, my friend. I'm excited to hear about what you've got to share with us.
Well, I am too. I'm very excited. I wasn't asked to share a little bit, partly because I am the president of Lighthouse Dragons, which is a dragon boat team in Jupiter, Florida. And we will be seeing Carolyn soon at the Crossing for the Cure for Cystic Fibrosis.
That is an awesome event that is I can't think of the right words to properly describe it, but it is something that can get people. I still can't think of the right word.
It's exciting.
It is exciting, but the word that I want to use just won't come to mind this morning. But I'm grateful for people like that. They set an example that there is hope in this world, that there are people who care about other people, and it's just, it's warming of the heart. So let's hear a little bit about what you do.
Okay. Well, like I said, we are a dragon boat team in Jupiter, Florida. I'm sure a lot of you fishermen out there have seen us on the Jupiter waterways. You just may not have known what we were. So a dragon boat it originated in China many years ago. The sport is like a long dugout canoe with either 20 or 10 paddlers. We have a dragon head at the front, a dragon tail at the back, and we all battle in sync to a drummer sitting up front.
How cool.
So it's a very cool sport. We just got back from a race in Bradenton, Florida, just yesterday.
Wow.
So we race all over the state. We've raced in other countries, and basically the mission of our team is to support breast cancer survivors as well as our supporters.
Wow. How cool is that?
Mm-hmm.
This must be...
I've not met Betsy yet, but Travis actually put us in touch by phone. As also a breast cancer survivor. The girls on the dragon boat, they really work their muscles, get strong again, and they've actually invited me to come up and do a guest paddle with them next week. So I'm pretty excited to take part in that and camaraderie.
I bet that is a sight to be seen. Now, when you're doing this dragon boat. Is it out on the ocean, or is it in the backwater, or both?
No. I'll interject right there. No, it is really not an ocean-worthy vessel. Some of our team cross-trains on the outrigger canoes, which have the AMA, but we are very much in the intercoastal waterways. Some of the races are on lakes, and we had the race yesterday in the Anna Maria Island Bay area. So it's mostly for calmer waters. However, like Carolyn said, it's a great workout. And we go for endurance and intervals and technique, and we're so looking forward to having you, Carolyn.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it too. And you paddled last year in this dragon boat across during the crossing, correct?
I did not, but our coach, Scott Zednick, did complete it on a paddleboard. And just to clarify, we will not be doing the crossing in the dragon boat. We will be entering a relay team on paddleboards and kayaks. So we have 10 of our dragon boaters that will be crossing on those vessels.
Oh, perfect, because we've got a relay team too, so I'm sure we'll be somewhere in the back. Us anyway.
Oh, we will too, but we're going to make it happen. We're determined. We're excited. It is empowering. And yes, we'll all be in this boat together. We're in the same boat, right?
Betsy, when you're out doing this thing, how long does it last? How long do you paddle for?
Well, typically we go out 3 times a week. We actually paddle out of Jupiter Lighthouse Park, which is adjacent to the lighthouse and the museum. And we go out 3 times a week, usually about an hour and 15 minutes. And we love our sunset paddles. We go out Monday and Wednesday evenings, 6:30. Mm-hmm. Anyone's welcome to join us. We love having new people come.
I bet you turn some heads.
We do what?
I bet you turn some heads.
Oh, well, we like to think so. A lot of our fellow Jupiter people see us. The Pontiki party boat we usually say hello to, and they're very supportive. We have a lot of friends on the water, and in that vein, we certainly would appreciate anybody out there in the boating community. We could use a support boat for our crossing for cystic fibrosis. We just need someone to come along with us and contribute to both of these missions.
Well, hopefully we can get somebody to step up for you. Maybe one of the listeners knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody.
Right.
That would be a great thing to do. Inspiring is the word I was trying to look for. That wouldn't refuse to come to mind when I wanted it to. The entire event is extremely inspiring for other people. Again, it gives people hope. It lets people know that there are people out there who genuinely care. I mean, if you didn't genuinely care, you wouldn't literally putting your life on the line in an attempt to cross from Bimini to, I think it's Lake Worth, on a paddleboard. That's impressive. That's a commitment in and of itself. So how many, I don't know if I heard you or not, or whether you mentioned, how many people are in the boat at a time?
Well, we have 2 boats. One will seat 10 paddlers, and one will seat 20 paddlers.
Holy smokes, 20
Yeah, so we can take, we have a drummer up front, a steers person in the back. So typically we can have 34 people at any given time.
So is this like what I remember in the movies? There's somebody in the front of the boat and they're going bang, and for every time they bang, you row? Is that how it works?
That's right. However, we don't row, we paddle. That's sort of a joke in the dragon boat community.
We don't
row. We don't go backwards. We don't have oars affixed to the boat. But yes, we paddle.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
It's sort of a joke. It's fine.
So Rascala, they've got some great video footage. If you go to their Facebook page, Lighthouse Dragons SOS, and the girls, there's left side and right side of the boat. So correct me if I'm wrong, Betsy. So you just one person paddles on one side the whole training session?
Well, typically in our practices, we will switch halfway through. But in a race, of course, you're going the distance. Yesterday we did 500-meter races and we did 200-meter sprints. So in the races, of course, you stay the same. But yes, you're in the middle of the practice. We like to give a workout on both sides. But there are some breast cancer survivors, for example, that can only paddle on one side. They may have had surgery and had lymph nodes removed, and that's fine. We will accommodate anybody with any condition whatsoever.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm glad that there are people out there who do things like you're presenting. Because I've shared before where my mom, many years ago, my mom had breast cancer and had to have a breast removed, and she didn't have the support that is available today, and I think it would have made a world of difference for her. Even though our family, we circled around her and we did all we could do as a family. She just didn't have the opportunities that are available today, and I'm grateful for that. Let me make sure it came out right. I'm grateful that there are people who have that today. I wish that it were available for her back then, because I really do believe it would have made a big, big difference for her. It's just one of those things. So anything that we can do to help support that kind of thing, I'm all for it. I'm in 100%. And whatever we can do to again, inspire people, let them know that there's hope out there. Let them know that there's other people who have been through this and come out on the other side. I call them victors. I've had to deal with this 2 times in my personal life. I've had prostate cancer and I've had bladder cancer. And I consider myself a victor. I don't consider myself a survivor. And I look at it as, I don't concern myself with it ever coming back, because my mindset is if it does, I'll just do it again. I'll just kill it again. So don't waste your time with me. That kind of thing. When we have people that you can look to that have been through a similar experience that you're going through, and you see what they're doing, like Carolyn my gosh, I can't believe some of the things Carolyn's done. It gives hope to other people. That's something that is so needed today. We just don't seem to have a lot of positive energy coming across. It seems like there's a lot of negative stuff happening. So when I hear about things like Lighthouse Dragon, and some of the other things that Carolyn has brought to mind, and some of the people that they have brought forward, the cystic fibrosis thing. People genuinely care about people. They're out there. And for me, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to bring them out and expose them in whatever way I can, do whatever little I can to help them get the exposure they need in order to fulfill their goals.
And Rascala, I hope that you live kind of local. I hope that you have the opportunity to go to the beach landing in Lake Worth and see all of us, paddle in. It's so inspirational.
Yeah,
and
I'm gonna make it a point. Yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely. I've never met Betsy, but Travis knows I'm a little weak for my surgeries, and he said, paddle with these girls. Maybe they have some ideas on your training and and how to hold a paddle and all those wonderful things. I can't wait to just meet more people that then have you meet more people. So yeah. I'm really, Travis is just a huge circle and inspiration, and it creates all of us, 500 plus people, to be better and more inspired.
Amen. 500 plus. I didn't realize there was that many people. My gosh. Wow. 200
paddlers, about 100 support boats, and those usually come with 2 or 3 crew. You've got the medical folks.
My goodness.
The publicity. So about 500 people would be moved to Bimini that weekend.
I mean, that right there, just knowing about that, knowing that there are 500 people who are going out of their way, basically, and making a commitment to work together to bring exposure to something that is affecting hundreds of thousands of people that you don't hear a lot about. and to raise finances for them and help them in whatever way they can. See, that to me, that's really what, I don't want to get political, but that's what making a country is great. If you want to make a country great, it's the people that are going to make the country great. These kind of people are what would make our country great. Reaching out, helping other people, making a commitment, following it through. That's, to me, I mean, it's just my personal opinion, not to be political or anything, but that's just my personal, that's great. That really is great. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have the right mentality, what good does it do you? And these people clearly have the right mentality. I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for you, Carolyn, because you seem to find the most honorable people. It's just amazing. I can't think of, there was someone else that we had on last week, not Travis, it was someone else. That was
Casting for Recovery.
That's what it was.
Fly fishing breast cancer retreat.
Yeah. So they're out there, you guys. You just have to look for them. And I to me, honestly, I think it's an honor to be able to have people like this on the show and share with other people. You never know who's listening, and you never know who may need to hear what we've got that we're sharing. So I'm ever so grateful, Betsy. Thank you. Thank you for what you do. If people want to get involved with you, how do they do that?
Oh, they can look us up on our website, which is lighthousedragons.org, or we have a very active Facebook page, as Carolyn referenced, so Lighthouse Dragons on Facebook, or they can drop me an email, lighthousedragons@gmail.com.
Excellent.
And we'll put anybody on the boat when they want, and I'm looking forward to Carolyn coming. I know you'll be bitten by the dragon.
Oh, I can't wait. The only thing I need to do is go buy a GoPro camera, because I keep looking at your little video clip on your Facebook page, and I feel like I'm on the boat already.
All right.
And I will help you try and find a support boat. I'm in the boat tracking business, and I'm asking folks for support boats. I didn't realize you didn't have one, but I'll see if I can get one and pair up with you guys, and we can paddle nice and slow in a relay team across the ocean in the dark.
That's
so
cool.
Perfect. That's exactly what we want to do. We'll be all in this together. So thank you for that, and it's a great honor to be on your show. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you, Betsy. I'm truly honored to have you on. I really mean that. Thank you for what you do. I'll give Carolyn an opportunity to say goodbye to you, and then we'll go to a break.
Yeah, absolutely, Betsy. I'll see you this weekend or this week coming up, and everybody's got a GoFundMe page, so I just want to make sure reach out and help all of us, my team, Betsy's team, get across the ocean.
Absolutely.
You're
Sounds great.
listening to the Fishing in Florida show with your host, Scala Stevens. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Being a dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise?
Right.
Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
Thinking of moving? Before you do anything else, call Diane Whitney. She provides a concierge service. Things like having your home or condo packed and shipped, even take care of your home repairs or upgrades. Diane has the expertise to get it done. As a seller, you will have constant contact. She will furnish you with bids on any services that might need completion. Air conditioning, plumbing, handyman, and even cleaning. Living up north and have a home to sell here in South Florida? Just give her the keys, address, and a signature. Your payment will be wired when the property is sold. That's right, Diane does it all. Thinking of buying? Diane has great listening skills. Tell her what you want, give her your budget, and like a genie, she will make your real estate wish come true. There's no regrets when you choose Diane Whittick. To reach Diane, call 561-247-5478. That's 561-247-5478.
While other stations just talk a good game, we win it.
Hey, sounds like somebody's having a lot of fun. I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. It just caught me a grouper. So I'm fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah, fishing and blowing on.
Good morning from the Sunshine State. Broadcasting from Palm Beach County, it's the Fishing in Florida Show. Sundays from 8 to 10 a.m. on the WCET FM network. And now, here's your host, Riscala.
All right, we are back. Good morning to you. If you're just joining us, we will have archives set up on the Fishing in Florida Show. And the easiest way to find them is to go on Facebook. Go on Facebook, find the Fishing in Florida Show, give us a like. That makes us relevant in the searches. And you'll find links there to our archives as well. A big thank you to WCET FM 101.7 out of Columbia, our home network, and you can also find us on the internet at www.wcetfm.com. We have a player there. You can find us on Facebook. If you go to our Facebook page, Fishing in Florida, click on Contact Us. You can listen to us that way. HighPoint Radio, 1690 AM out of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Big thank you to you guys. Greatly appreciate what you do for us. KYAH, 540 AM out of Utah, Utah's Talk Authority. Thank you. And we've been shifted over from Yacht Rock. Let's try that again. Yacht Rock, Miami. We are now on their sister station, which is Marina Rock Radio, and they are a tune-in station. So if you have the tune-in app, you can go to Marina Rock Radio, and you can find us that way. And I am also working on an app that you can download where you can just listen to the show just by downloading the app. It doesn't have all the commercial stuff in it like the last app. None of that stuff. It's just a simple download, and you can listen to the show. And hopefully we're going to have that here in the next week or two. This morning I have Carolyn with Atlas Trax with me. Good morning and welcome back, Miss Carolyn. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
Good morning, Riscala. I'm happy to be back.
And I believe we have our next guest on, who is Whitney Wemett. And Whitney is with the Coral Restoration Foundation. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Whitney.
Good morning.
Whitney has served, and from what I understand, is still serving in the Coral Restoration Foundation. And I got a hold of her through my other guest, my regular, who is Angelia. She's down here in the Keys. Angelia Swanson, the Florida Salty Cowgirl, gave me Whitney's information, contact info. Got a hold of her, and I wanted her to share with us something that's really near and dear to my heart, and that is caring about our reefs, manicuring, if you will. You know, we spend all this money on our lawns. My gosh, we spend thousands of dollars on our lawns, and just to make our lawns look nice. But when it comes to the water, it seems like we kind of short ourselves out there. We don't invest the same as we do in something like our lawns. And when I run across somebody who has made it that point in their life to restore what we have out here, that's a passion of mine. So let's hear a little bit about what you've done, Whitney.
Sure. Thank you for that intro. That's very well said. And whether or not you're a diver or you're just living in the Keys or nearby, coral reefs are super important. Regardless of where you live, they're super important to coastal protection and that storm surge from the hurricanes we have. They're important to tourist dollars and all that. And they make up 25% of all marine life lives in the coral reefs around the world. So they're very important. And here in the Florida Keys and in Florida, we have the third largest barrier reef in the world. That's Florida Reef Track, and that goes from the Dry Tortugas National Park, and then that goes all the way up to Martin County. And the coral reefs on the Florida Reef Shack have seen a decline of more than 90% here. And so a lot of reef sites you go to, they just look like a coral graveyard. So what CRF is doing is we are restoring the reef. And so CRF has an offshore coral nursery in Tavernier off of Isla Morada in the Key Largo area of the Florida Keys. And that coral nursery is the size of a football field. It's so profound the first time you see it underwater. You'll never forget that first sight. And that nursery can hold up to 500 corals at 60 corals per tree. So if you think about that, that's 30,000 corals in one area. And that nursery is in about 30 feet of water. That's kind of the prime spot for these corals in the water column because they need some sunlight and then they also need that nutrient poor water. And we can also raise and lower the trees depending on the time of year, raise them up a little higher in the wintertime when the water gets a little chillier and lower them back down in the summertime. And so CRF focus primarily on two corals listed on the Endangered Species Act in 2006. That's the staghorn and elkhorn corals. And then they also do more with boulder corals, pillow corals, and they're experimenting that with kind of branching out, if you will. And so far, CRF has planted 120,000 corals, and that's about the size of 1.5 football fields. And so when we plant the corals, what we'll do is we'll go to the nursery and we'll do what we call fragment, and we'll clip off part of the corals, and just to kind of give you an idea of how quickly these corals grow. So we'll hang them on the trees when they're about the size of your finger. And 6 to 9 months, that same coral will grow to about the size of a basketball. So it's pretty profound.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And so we'll go and we'll fragment a piece of that basketball-sized coral off. We'll take some clippers and we'll clip probably a couple hundred on like a common outplant day. And so we'll go to the nursery first. We'll get those corals. We'll put them in a milk crate. And then we'll go to our next site. Will be one of our 8 restoration sites up and down the Keys. And we use the back of a hammer to scrape the substrate off, scrape all that fuzzy algae and all that off to have a clean slate. And then we'll underwater mix a 2-part marine epoxy, and then we'll attach the coral in 3 spots onto that clean area. And this is not just 1 or 2 people. This is sometimes multiple boats at one reef site. So you could have probably like 10 divers in the water all doing this, and it's really cool. You're doing it. You're kind of like in the zone. You look up and you just like take a moment to see all the people around you doing the same thing, like spending your day planting corals. There's no better feeling than kind of that sense of accomplishment.
I had no idea that people were doing this. Is like, you're blowing my mind. First of all, this is when you talk about a tree, I always thought coral is a form of I call it a rock, but I know it's not really. It's a living organism, but isn't it like a rock?
Animal.
Okay, so
it's an animal.
And what you're talking about, the way you're describing it, is almost like what we used to do when I was young. My dad he taught me cloning. He built a hedge on one side of the yard that was started with just a couple of plants, and he would take a branch off of it and get another one going and another one going. And
exactly, yeah, exactly, kind of like with a succulent, how you can fragment and take off a leaf and then.
I had no idea you could do that with coral. Again, and this is one of the reasons I love doing this show. I constantly learn. I had no idea that this could be done with, and that you're actually cloning it. In my term, what I use. Yeah. That you're cloning it and then going and planting it somewhere else for it to grow. That's amazing. I know that we pretty much decimated a lot of the reef off of the East Coast years ago, and there has been an effort to restore that. I've had Bruce Marks on, who has done a tremendous amount of work in trying to get the reefs rebuilt by utilizing what we would think of as trash, big boulders and stuff like that, and bring them and burying them. But I had no clue that you could do what you're talking about. This is really, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and so basically all kind of like the CRF nursery all kind of started with a couple corals, and then it just magnified from there. And the reason also we know our corals are healthy and they're doing their job is they also spawn naturally. So about in a couple of days in August every year, a group will go down to the CRF nursery on a night dive and watch these corals spawn. So that's basically kickstarting the reef's natural recovery and creating more coral. And that happens.
That's
on
awesome.
We've seen it on the reefs too, where they've been outplanted. So that's showing us that it's working.
So where does...
For Scala, I was jumping on and just checking out kind of what they do. And for the readers, if you can imagine an old-fashioned antenna that we used to put on our houses with all the little arms, all the little metal arms.
Yeah.
The trees that I'm looking at right now are almost underwater antenna-looking things with the coral that are attached to it with a pole. Is that correct, Betsy? Is that correct, Whitney?
Yeah. So it's basically it's a PVC pipe, like sticking straight in the air with branches sticking out, like T's going down, and then we hang the coral on it with a microfiber fishing line and a crimp.
I didn't know this was even possible. This is just, it's really blowing my mind. Wow.
Yeah, it's great. And so CRS, NOAA, Moat, there's actually just in December, they announced Mission Iconic Reefs, which is a 20-year restoration project here along 8 reef sites. And so, like I told you, CRF has restored 1.5 football fields inside. That's about 8,000 square meters. And Mission Iconic Reefs, they want to restore 52 football fields up and down the Florida Keys. So it's a really exciting project that's underway. And they actually just got a really big first donation from the United Arab Emirates, believe it or not.
Wow.
A couple weeks ago. Yeah.
That's a surprise.
The donations are kind of rolling in to hopefully get that jump started pretty quickly and make some change.
My goodness. So how long has this been going on?
I believe it's 2006, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
CRF's initial.
Well, I know that for a while there we were really suffering. I don't know much about the West Coast, but I can tell you, particularly up in and around our area, our reefs were suffering severely from a variety of things. And it's refreshing to know that there are people who care enough to make a commitment, go out there and help restore it. And I'm still in shock that you can actually, I didn't think you could do that. I didn't think that was, I thought once it died out, that was one of my greatest concerns. Is I was I guess ignorant, but I thought once the reef died out, that's it, pal. It's not coming back. You got to do what you can to keep it going. I wasn't aware that you could clone it and then regrow it. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, and CRF has what they call gene banks. So in the case of something really bad happens, if we have just an awful hurricane and our nursery is wiped out, we actually keep some corals in different aquariums in Florida and throughout the country, which we call a gene bank. So if anything were to happen and wipe out our stock, we have those to kind of restart once again if needed.
And
hopefully we never have.
I didn't have any clue that there was such a thing as a coral farm.
Yes.
Wow.
And it's the world's largest coral underwater nursery. There's nothing like it.
And where is that at?
So it's in Tavernier. So like just a little bit south of Key Largo.
Is it open? Is it open to the public?
So great question. So it is and it isn't. So it's not marked just so we can protect it. But so CRF has dive programs. So if you're a diver or a snorkeler, you can come basically work with CRF for the day, and you don't have to live here. You can on the phone and just come. And so that consists of a morning in our education center in Port Largo and Key Largo, and kind of get a presentation about the mission of CRF and our work, and then you do kind of like a demo planting exercise. And then in the afternoon, you get on a dive boat and you do 2 dives. You do the first dive or snorkel if you don't dive at the nursery. And then the second one, you actually go and you outplant corals yourself. So that's a great way to kind of get a flavor for it. And then if you live in the area, you can also be a volunteer and do that more regularly. And then CRF has a phenomenal internship program that is a year round, and then also they do school presentations, and you can Skype in. Even if I can't tell you how many presentations I've done with people in the middle of the country, and we do a Skype presentation to a class.
Wow.
The kids are so excited about it. So you don't have to be in Florida to get involved or to learn more about it or to spread the word. There's a lot of ways to get involved and make an impact from here or from afar.
Well, this is what happens when we're having a good time. We're out of time, but before I let you go, a couple of things. I want you to, people want to get involved, I want you to be able to give that information out regarding the Coral Restoration Foundation. Then I'll let Carolyn say goodbye and we'll go to a break. Thank you, Whitney. I greatly appreciate you sharing with us. So go ahead and give out the information if people want to get involved with the Coral Restoration Foundation, and I'll let Carolyn say goodbye.
Okay. So the CRF website is coralrestoration.org. If you don't remember that, just Google Coral Restoration Foundation. And then, like I said, you can be part of a dive program for a day. You can volunteer. You can apply to be an intern. We have monthly Sips in Science lecture series, and those are actually streamed on our Facebook page, so you can watch those from anywhere in the world. And also, you can just donate if you have the means to and you want to support CRF. That's always welcome as well.
And Whitney, thank you so much for coming on and sharing something that I was unfamiliar about that really helps the environment. And have a great Sunday.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
You're listening to the Fishing in Florida show with your host, Scala Stevens. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
Do you have an unusual pet? Did you know that the Rainforest Clinic in Loxahatchee specializes in exotic pets? They see pets that other vets don't. Parrots and chickens, ducks, geese, turtles, snakes, goats, pigs, lizards, and even monkeys. Are you a beekeeper? Dr. Clubb, the first of her kind in the area? Yes, she takes care of bees as well. Dr. Susan Clubb has decades of experience and known around the world for her reputation as a premier avian vet. Located at 3319 E Road in Loxahatchee, just a short distance north of Okeechobee Road, you will find a modern clinic with in-house labs, which allow you to get your test answers quickly. You can find them online at www.susanclubb.com. That's www.susanclubb.com. Or you can reach her at 561-795-4878. It's Dr. Susan Clubb. That's 561-795-4878. The Rainforest Clinic located in Loxahatchee. 561-795-4878.
When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers. But that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Being a dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise?
Surprise!
Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
While other stations just talk a good game, we win it.
Hey, sounds like somebody's having a lot of fun.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing in Florida where the sun shines all day. I just caught me a grouper. So I'm fishing in Florida. Oh yeah, fishing in Florida.
Good morning from the Sunshine State. Broadcasting from Palm Beach County, it's the Fishing in Florida Show. Sundays from 8 to 10 a.m. on the WCET FM network. And now, here's your host, Riscala.
All right, we are back. It is the Fishing in Florida Show. It is an honor and privilege to have you tune in and allow us to share with you some of the stuff that we have. I'm constantly learning doing this show. I'm constantly learning. I just learned that coral could be very similar to what we do with vegetation, can be cloned and grown, and there are people out there doing it. I'm still in shock that this is happening. I don't know why. I thought that once coral was dead, I didn't think that you could regrow it. Again, I'm always learning. It's one of the greatest things about being able to do this show is some of the stuff that I've learned, some of the amazing information that's out there. This morning I have Carolyn with Atlas Trax with me. She has a product that will just knock your socks off, about the size of her credit card. I like to say if you want to protect what you have to the max, you got to talk to Carolyn at Atlas Trax, a completely portable, self-contained unit that can help you keep track of whatever it is that you want to keep track of, whether it's anything from a human being to an iceberg, for Pete's sake. I was in shock when I found out that she's involved with people tracking icebergs and where they're going. Again, about the size of a credit card, not quite as thin as a credit card, but overall size of about a credit card. You can slip it into your back pocket, or you can put it on in an inconspicuous area on your boat. Or your jet ski, or whatever it is that you have that you want to be able to track. God forbid somebody decides that they want it for themselves. The faster that you can get your equipment back, the less the chance that damage is done to your equipment. The longer that it takes to get your equipment back, the odds go way up that it's not going to come back in the condition that it was when you originally had it. So Atlas Trax can help you with that, and Carolyn's the lady to speak to. Welcome back, Carolyn. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good morning again, Riscala.
And I think we have Paul Flemming on with us. Paul is with Black Label Marine. Good morning, Paul. Welcome to the Fishing in Florida Show.
Good morning. How are you?
Go ahead, Carolyn.
So Riscala, good morning, Paul. So I met Paul many years ago when I was going to some of the tournaments and getting out there and promoting my product. And Paul had a trailer that he did live broadcast out of for the tournament, the results and games and everything was live broadcast. And actually put one of our trackers in his trailer because he would set up and leave it at the events for a couple days at a time. And that's kind of how our friendship started. And it's blossomed into something, a much deeper friendship now. So, Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So what does Black Label Marine do?
Well, Black Label Marine Group is it's currently where I'm working now. It's a very high volume boat dealership here in the Tampa area. So we've, I handle all the service side of it. But Black Label Marine Group is just that. It's a really large boat dealership.
I see.
And Paul is from the west coast of Florida. He participates in so many children's fishing tournaments, organizing them. Paul, share with us, about some of the tournaments that you've done in the past, some that you have coming up. I always see the events coming up.
Oh yeah, so we actually we just finished an event this weekend with Reeling Freedom. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to the event. I had a bunch of other stuff to do this weekend, but Reeling Freedom is a great foundation we have here in the Tampa Bay area. They truly dedicate their lives to taking our country's veterans and first responders, especially those who are coping with returning from battle and stuff like that. And they get them out on the water, and that's their sole purpose, is to help give them sanctuary and give them a little time on the water to kind of forget some of the things that they've gone through. And we actually just finished up a tournament this past weekend. Unfortunately, it was, I don't know what you call it, ill timing. This time of year is just packed nonstop weekend after weekend from now until, early May with a fishing tournament every single weekend. These guys went out and they grueled a -5 tide all day with 20-mile-an-hour winds and 50-degree weather. So my hat's off to all the anglers that went out and supported that organization
Wow.
this weekend. It was definitely not an easy day on the water. I can guarantee you that.
Well, we had So apparently the winds that we had over here, you had over there as well, because we had a couple of days where, my gosh, it was almost like a mini hurricane going on over here.
You know, I got to tell you, it's crazy. This has been a really weird winter. You know, it almost seems like we get, you know, six days of just sustained 15-mile-an-hour winds, and then it slows down for 1, maybe 2 days, and then it's right back to blowing again. And of course, that 1 to 2 days is like Tuesday, Wednesday when everybody's at work. And you know, it's the unfortunate thing. And I mean, as we get into, you know, our springtime season where we jump into the kingfish run on the West Coast here, you know, it's always that vision. You know, the flag sits low on the flagpole all week, and then come time to jump in the boat to go tournament season, it's standing straight out, and it's, you know, 8-foot seas out there, but we go out and we go do it anyway. So,
that's commitment. That's what commitment is all about.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would have to say that our Kingfish crews are, you know, you can definitely say there's a lot of loose nuts behind the wheel, because we tend to go out in the most extreme weathers to go chase a fish that really doesn't taste all that well.
That's a great way to put it, Paul.
It really is, you know. But you know, like I was saying about Reeling Freedom, you know, that's just one of the organizations that I have the privilege of working with. In 2 weeks, we have Tighten the Drag, which is another inshore type slam. That's March 20th and 21st, and that foundation helps families all over the country with spinal cord injury. And you know, a lot of people don't understand with spinal cord injury that, you know, the hospitals, their whole thing is to just, you know, get you better. And what I mean by better is, you know, in a wheelchair and back home to where you can, you know, live the rest of your life. They don't take care of your rehab or therapy or anything. So anybody who has been in a car accident, or in some cases with the young people that we help, you know, something as simple as falling out of a hammock and being a paraplegic from just falling out of a hammock.
Wow.
Their hydrotherapy, their therapy to try to strive and walk again is not covered under insurance, and they're $100 to $200 an hour for those sessions. So, you know, we do 2 tournaments a year with that. We do 2 golf tournaments a year with Tighten the Drag, and always striving to raise, you know, awareness and, you know, and more money for that organization as well.
Wow. So if people want to get involved with that, how do they get involved with any of this stuff?
Well, so Reeling Freedom, they can go to reelingfreedom.org, and Tighten the Drag, they have tightenthedrag.org as well. So there's you know, there's a ton of different organizations we deal with on this coast. And again, it's all nonstop, especially, you know, spring and fall of our 2 biggest seasons. And then in August, right before, you know, kids go back to school, as Carolyn was talking about the kids events that we do, we'll be going into our 5th year of our Fish Kids event, which got started at one of my daughter's schools. It was a project that I put together to try and get, you know, all the kids in the school to kind of get away from their Game Boys and their phones and come out and spend some time with their families and maybe try and learn something at the same time. And it started out as just a little seawall tournament, and now it has grown into a massive monster, to where, you know, at our seawall tournaments, we're fishing close to 500 kids now.
Wow.
And we have local tournament anglers that come all over, and they set up in our vendor area. We probably have close to 50 vendors, and there's things from, you know, Water Ventures and the St. Pete Seabird Sanctuary and the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. And there's just all these different vendors that come out and actually teach these kids about conservation. And, you know, it teaches them, you know, like, you know, it's a fishing tournament. There's prizes, there's, you know, trophies, but, you know, in any fishing tournament that we go in, there's an entry fee. And, you know, we teach these kids the meaning of helping others, and their entry fee to our Seawall tournament is a non-wrapped toy, which goes to help Santa's Angels and kids that, you know, don't have a Christmas.
Awesome.
And our local Knights of Columbus group, they have to bring in a canned food item, and that goes to a food bank that helps the the homeless and the less fortunate people that don't have food at home. They can go to a local food bank and get that stuff. So these kids are actually coming out to have fun, but they're giving back to their community at the same time, and they're learning how to do that. And it's great. We started out our first year, and last year we had the United States Coast Guard come in with a Jayhawk, because our venue is right on the water, and they did a search and rescue demonstration for the kids. And we had the Marine Corps 42nd Tank Battalion come in with their amphibious tanks, and the kids got to crawl through tanks, and it's a pretty cool event.
So we always talk about fishing from a boat, and we always talk about fishing from a lake. And here's a perfect example, Rascala, and why I wanted Paul on, that you don't need a boat to actually fish a tournament. And it makes these kids, anything from peewee up to teens, just want to get out and hang out with their parents and do some fun stuff and, set their motion for the future. And Paul, I'm so happy that this thing has grown like it has the last 5 years.
It has, and I got to tell you, the one thing that, it's, so our event is, it's usually the first or second weekend in August. Our next event coming up is going to be on August 8th. And, it's the event is August 8th is this huge thing. And what most people don't realize, especially an event like that, I take August 9th and I take the day to rest. But, August 10th, you're starting your planning again to get, there's just a lot that goes into getting everything together. But, the most rewarding thing that goes into something you put all this time in is when these kids are out fishing, you look, and I've got volunteers and people from the fishing community all over the place that come in to help these kids. And what you end up seeing more is you see more of these teenagers helping the younger kids bait their hooks and take their fish off and helping them cast. And these older kids are learning to help teach these younger kids how to do it. And you're seeing that passion grow, and you're seeing these, our older kids teaching the younger kids, and the younger kids are getting so much more out of that, I think, than the older kids are. And it's just a really cool thing to actually watch.
Wow.
And Paul even hauls his boat over to the East Coast, Fort Lauderdale, for a tournament. And I forget, Paul, what was that? You were taking out some young kids. What was that about?
Yes. Well, my sister is actually one of the lead directors for the Big Brothers and Big Sisters Foundation of Broward County. And they do a huge fishing tournament there every year. So I bring our 30-foot Intrepid over, and we take kids out fishing there. And, again, that's just a bunch of captains donating their boat and their fuel and their time to go take these kids who don't have, that family structure, to go out and have a great day and to learn about our economy and to learn about everything. And, it's all those events are huge, and it's, it takes up a good time of your year. And unfortunately for me, I've had to do a lot of stuff last year. Kind of put a hold on me because my wife had gotten sick, and but we still managed to get a bunch of our stuff done. We still managed to get our kids' stuff done, and I'm looking forward to this year. Hopefully we'll have a little better year with her health and try to get her back up in the game, and because she's a big part of all those events that we do.
Well, I have said many times that fishing in my life was kind of sort of like the glue that held the family together. I was fortunate that my mom loved fishing and was fortunate in that sense. And much of the fishing that we did, it was not uncommon for us to be out 3 weekends every month, going somewhere. I grew up in Miami, but that didn't stop us. We didn't fish just in Miami. We went anywhere from the Keys on over to Naples on up to, oh my gosh, Jupiter.
Oh yeah.
And fishing the various areas, fishing the piers, fishing the bridges. And occasionally we go out on a boat, but the majority of the time Carolyn, like Carolyn said earlier, we don't have to have a boat. And it's nice to know that you're working with kids, because I got a lot of life lessons out of fishing for me. There were a few times, of course there weren't very many of them, thank God, but there were a few times when we went fishing where they didn't catch anything worth keeping, and we kind of came back, empty-handed, so to speak. And it was a letdown, but my dad used those to share with me that there's going to be times in life where you're going out and you're expecting. We were expecting to come back with fish, and you're going to be expecting. You're planning to do something, and you're expecting it to happen a certain way, and it doesn't, and it's a letdown. And this is an opportunity for you to experience that, and then how are you going to respond to that? So fishing for me was an extreme learning experience about life, as well as being able to find something that I enjoyed. I just couldn't get enough of it. I was fortunate. I grew up in Coral Gables, which is a small city inside of Miami, and we had, they have still, saltwater canals. So anything you found in the bay, I could catch in the canals, and it was phenomenal for me. It really kept me out of trouble. I gotta say, it really did keep me out of trouble, because if I would have gotten bored, we would have found something else to do, and inevitably it would have been something that was wrong, and I would have been, a troublemaker. So fishing was such a positive thing in my life. That's why I enjoy doing, one of the reasons I enjoy doing this show, and one of the reasons I enjoy hearing about people like you, Paul, who are working with kids. And, I said many times, it's easier to deal with them as children and give them a good foundation versus allowing them to grow up and become adults who are broken and then have to try to deal with them then. It's much easier this way. It works out for everybody. Wins when we're talking about things like this. This is a win-win situation. I don't know why somebody wouldn't want to support something like that. Everybody wins in a deal like this. And we're talking about our future generations. This is our future. The kids are going to be, whether you like it or not, you guys, when these kids grow up, they're adults. And guess what? Many of them are going to be in positions that are going to be making decisions that could possibly affect your lives. They could be congressmen. They could be representatives of some sort. We don't know. And if we deal with them now and give them a good foundation now with regard to responsibility and the ability to help others, we do that now. When they grow up, it's been rooted in them, and that's what they'll follow. But if we allow them to be broken and constantly in trouble, and some of my friends growing up, their future wasn't all that great for them, and I hear from time to time what they're going through, and it's sad because they decided to take a different road, and there wasn't something for them to take interest in that would take their mind off of all the negative stuff and put it on the positive stuff. This is how I view fishing, and it's wonderful that we can do that with kids. Phenomenal.
Well, it is.
And Paul, I'm so glad that you bring it. You're able to bring that to us, and let us share that with you. And I know you work so hard, tirelessly to get those tournaments done.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, kids again they're our future, and the fishing industry and the fishing, the fishing sporting, the sport of fishing it's all based relying on our next generation. Like you. I mean, I was born in Hollywood there on the East Coast, and I did many of my fishing down in Biscayne Bay and everything, from Lake Okeechobee and if it wasn't for my dad taking me fishing every weekend, honestly, that's where most of my fishing passions came from was from him taking me out and sharing that. And we didn't catch fish all the time, but what I got from that was the quality time spent with my father.
Yeah.
And and that's the bond. That's the bond that's missing today. And I
You're
think
right on
it's important to get our kids together.
Yeah. To this day, all my kids are grown, but to this day, as a matter of fact, today will be the day. Every Sunday, we come together as a family, because that's what my dad did. There was one day every weekend that we came together as a family, and 90% of the time that day we would go fishing. So to this day, I honor that by having the family come together. It's important to keep your families together. There's a direct attack on the family. I've said it many times. Again, it's not to be political. This is just our reality that we're dealing with. There's a direct attack on the family today. And anything and everything that we can do that could bring a positive impact upon the family, I believe we should promote. Families are the backbone of our country. Without families, what are we going to be? And there's a lot of families out there that are having to deal with a great amount of stress, whether it's from disease or finances or whatever that might be, social pressure. To walk away from that for a brief period of time and kind of recharge, if you will, if there is such a thing, recharging because you're away from all of that, for that brief period of time. I know for me, it's very relaxing. It's very calming because you're not. When I get out there, what happens to me it doesn't matter whether I'm on the shore fishing or I'm in a boat fishing. It's watching the water. It's a humbling feeling because you realize how minute you are, especially when we're on the ocean. How minute you are in the scope of things, and kind of helps you think about yourself and to be grateful for what we have. We have water on three sides. I mean, we have oceans on three sides of the state. We have water all through the state. The state's like a sponge. It's just utilizing what God has given us and appreciating that. I think it's important that that's done at an early stage, because if it's done then, as we grow older, we realize the importance of that and how we want to maintain that with other people versus the other side of the story where you're just in trouble all the time and you don't really care and you grow up to be a selfish person instead of a selfless person.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing that are, I gotta say, our fishing community here is huge. I know the fishing community on the East Coast is huge, and it's kind of like a social network, if you will. And it just seems to be that the fishing community brings so many good people together. If it wasn't for my fishing community here, the last year with my wife being sick when she got diagnosed with her breast cancer and not working for 4 months, it was the fishing community that came together and helped our family out.
Wow.
And if it wasn't for them, I don't know that we would have survived as well
Wow.
as we did. So it's great because you have an extended family, and especially here, I know again there's other fishing communities out. We have a very tight fishing community here, and it's more so a family than a community. And but again, that's what all of these events do. That's what all of these events strive to make, is that community, is to grow that community and to keep that community alive. Shows like this and events like that, those are important.
I see a lot of that in fishing, just fishing in general. We have communities here that do very similar things as to what you're doing. And the advantage of that is that if you look and you find that there's organizations that are reaching out and working with veterans. Veterans is another passion of mine. I'm a veteran. I'm a Vietnam War veteran. So when they're working with veterans and they're working with kids and they're helping create a better future for everybody, those are the kind of things I totally 100% support. I enjoy supporting, because all in all, we're making it better for everybody. And when it's all said and done, I'm part of everybody. I mean, I know it's kind of selfish in a way, but I'm part of everybody. And when we can make it better for everybody, everybody wins. It's those are the kind of things that I look for. Even in my business, I don't earn my living by doing radio. Gosh, if I did, I'd be homeless. Even in the business that I do, I arrange it in such a way where the people that I deal with, they win. They win and I win. They pay me for my service, and in exchange for that, they get my service, which brings them some degree of value that they're paying for. So we both win in the equation, and that's, for me, that's what life is about, to try to fix it so that everybody wins. If you can't help, by all means, don't harm.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just my one of my core beliefs, and I'm grateful for what you do, Paul. I think it's an honorable thing. It's an inspiring thing. Again, when we're talking about kids, I don't just talk about it. My life is my testimony about kids. I'm a former foster parent for the state of Florida, fostered well over 19 children, adopted 7. So when I'm talking about, when I tell you children are my passion, it's just not coming out of my mouth. It's my life's experience. It's my It's just what I've lived. I believe that they are our future, and if we can train them now while they're young, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier than when they grow up and have all kinds of issues when they grow up. So thank you for what you do.
For sure.
I'm grateful for that.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show.
Well, I am.
Thank you so much, Paul.
I am ever so grateful for people like you, and I'll look forward to having you back on. We'll get some kind of an update here in maybe a month or two down the road and see what are the other things that you're involved in. Again, my gratefulness and my appreciation to you, sir. Wish you an awesome day.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Yeah, my best to Maria.
Thank you very much.
All right, my friends, that is Paul Flemming, and he is with Black Label Marine, but he also works with several different organizations. ReelingFreedom.org is one of them, and TightenTheDrag.org is another one of them. Working with kids, working with veterans, my kind of guy. Thank you, Carolyn, for introducing me. Greatly appreciate it.
Of course.
And I think we have our next guest. I'm going to bypass the brace because we went on a little longer than expected with Paul, but it was very interesting. I think we have Carolyn. Is that you, Carol?
Yes, it is. Good morning, Scala. Good morning, Carolyn. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah. See, now this is how they get me confused. We have Carol and we have Carolyn.
It's okay.
It's great when we fish together and someone starts saying Carol, we just both turn around.
Yeah, we both go for the rod.
Yeah. And well, a good morning to you, my dear. And I think that you're Carolyn tells me that you're on the West Coast.
I am. I'm at the beautiful South Seas plantation on Captiva Island.
Ooh.
For a World Cat boating event. It's an owner loyalty event, and I'm here with World Power Cat Marine of Fort Lauderdale, and they also have the dealership in Naples. So we're enjoying some time with other cat owners, and we got to fish yesterday. We fished Pine Island Sound and all around Pine Island because I know that area more than the other parts of Captiva. So we fished out there, and trout were biting, and
nice.
So we caught a few different species, a few surprises. It's one of the fun things about fishing. You never know what's on the end of the hook till you get.
I say that.
So you get a visual on it. So I caught a gigantic sea trout. I've never had one that caught one that big before. So it was fun. We're having a great time, and this is a beautiful property. Over here, we're going to come back and talk to them about putting mermaid vodka in their restaurants because it's certainly a good fit for them and for us.
So I'm curious. You said you were fishing yesterday. Was it backwater? Were you guys experiencing the? We had a tremendous amount of wind over here, and one of the callers earlier was on the West Coast said they were experiencing some kind of wind, but I don't know where they were on the West Coast. Were you experiencing that wind too?
Oh, it was very windy. We picked up a 28 World Cat in Naples at the dealership there. So we picked up a demo boat and we drove up the outside, the Gulf, 25 knots, 3 to 5.
Holy smokes!
And if we were in a monohull boat, we'd have been soaked, and I would have been complaining, "Take me back." But the cat really handles it well, and a little bit of side spray, but for the most part, no issues whatsoever. And the wind was really blowing though.
Yeah.
And yesterday it laid down a little bit. There was a sandbar event for the people attending the World Cat into Captiva event, and we did not go to the sandbar only because we wanted to do some fishing, and we went over to Demery Key to visit my good friend Dorothy Golnack over there. She's got a little island off of Pine Island, so we went and had some lunch with her and fished around the area, like I said, because I know it over there, looking for snook, but the snook just weren't biting yesterday. So, yeah.
How about redfish?
No, we didn't get any redfish. We would have been better off if we would have gone out into Redfish Pass off of Captiva, but it was a little too windy, a little too choppy, so we stayed inside and just fished around the Pine Island Sound and around Pine Island itself. Just looking for anything to catch. I mean, we're not real picky. We like to we just like to fish. That's our thing. So
that's a good
today,
thing.
This morning we're getting ready to pull out of here. They're going to take a group photo of all the World Cat owners and the dealers who are here. The dealer from Sarasota came down, and the World Cat corporate people are here. So we're going to get ready and take a group photo on the beach. So I'm glad you were able to work me in to this time space because it's perfect.
Hot dog.
And Rascala, I have to tell you, as Carol and I are training for the Crossing for a Cure, our support boat is going to be Captain Bruce, who is a World Cat dealer. So we're pretty excited to at least have a very stable boat across the ocean with us.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, we really are. We're very, very blessed to have the support of Nurse Wade. He's offering up his time, his boat, his fuel, and helping us get across from Bimini to Lake Worth. And I know Carolyn's been training. I've been training our two CF warriors who will be on board along with their mom. They're very really excited about it, and the fact that we are on a World Cat, they know it's a safe boat, and they won't have to be uncomfortable. They'll be really enjoying the ride as we're out there paddling away and getting to the shore. That's the main goal.
That's awesome.
Raising money.
Stuff.
We've been getting quite a bit of really great donations from people. We appreciate each and every donation. And we've still got a ways to go to hit our $10,000 goal, but we'll get there, right, Carolyn?
Oh, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. I reached out to Publix and a couple others, so we'll see if we can get lucky with but the smaller donations really are what adds up more quickly, and we appreciate the $10, $25, anything we can. It all goes back to cystic fibrosis, so that's really exciting.
Awesome.
And Carol, we had on the Dragon Ladies. They're going to be paddling across also 5 breast cancer survivors. They invited us up to paddle in their big dragon boat anytime we want on a Wednesday night.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, what a great network of people. I mean, you've got everyone pulling together for one cause, for cystic fibrosis, and it's just a tremendous event. I'm so excited to be able to participate in it, and I can't wait till we pull up on that beach in Lake Worth for the big celebration.
That is going to be a very emotional point at that at that term of the event when you get to the final destination, I guess would be the word. When you finally get to that point, that's everything just kind of comes together at that. I've seen the short videos. They're very emotional, very, very moving. You can see the emotion in these people's face as they come up and they ring that bell, and then they give a big hug to whoever else is waiting for them there. That's a very, very moving thing to watch. So I'm going to be there. I want to see that. My eyes may be leaking pretty bad, but it's something that I want to see. I think it's really inspiring to let other people know what's going on. My gosh, what is it? 18 hours? Is that what we're talking about to do this?
We're hoping closer to 16. It all really depends on the conditions. It depends on how strong Carolyn and I are going into it. But we're going to do our best to get through as quickly and efficiently as we can, because again, we'll have 2 CF warriors on board, and we don't want to do anything that might present additional exposure for them. We want to get them to the beach safely, and our plan is, because we are in the amateur group, so we're not racing for a prize or any money or anything. We're just doing it for to support the cause. But our plan is, as we get closer to the beach, we're going to put Alexandria and Adriana, our 2 CF warriors, up on the board, and Carolyn and I are going to swim alongside them.
How cool.
All arrive on the beach together, because we want them to be front and center. We want everyone to see the girls coming up, and we want them to feel the rush and the excitement. And they're going to have a huge crew from Sarasota, their family and friends on the beach waiting for them. So we really are so excited about that moment. That's our goal when we train and fundraise and do all the things we're doing to prepare, getting our Atlas Trax tracker set up and everything else. That's our goal. Is we're just looking at that arrival in Lake Worth on the beach and what that's going to be like, especially for
Wow.
Andriana and Alexandria Twig, the Twig
Wow.
sisters.
That is priceless. That is absolutely priceless. Wow. Can you imagine the feeling of freedom that they will have? Wow. That's awesome.
And they've made great strides. For people who are listening that don't really know a lot about cystic fibrosis, it's a disease that doesn't have a cure. So when you're diagnosed with it, it's very daunting to know there isn't a cure, and then all the treatments and things that they go through on a daily basis to try to maintain their health and prevent having to go into the hospital or worse. And there's finally been a development in a new drug. Both of our CF warriors were fortunate enough that they're able to be on the drug. It's not everyone's not eligible because of the type of bacteria you may have. It doesn't work with all bacterias. But both sisters received the drug the same day. That was another big milestone about 6 months ago. There's so much research going on to try to really find a cure for this disease. So that's our why. That's why we're doing it. We want to do what we can to raise funds to find a cure and bring awareness to it so people really understand the disease.
I think that's a key word there is awareness. The more awareness, the more exposure, the more the interest in finding out how they can be helped. The more, in my life's experience, I find that the more silent people remain about something, then the less that happens with regard to what that might be. So when awareness is brought about, knowledge is brought about, and exposure is brought about, I think that those are the key things to have a forward movement and to be able to help people. It's sad that with what we know today, that we can't provide a cure for this horrible thing. And I'm not real clear, what does cystic fibrosis do?
Cystic fibrosis
it's a muscle thing, right?
Bacteria-oriented disease, and I'm not an expert on it. I only know, again, from the girls. It's a bacteria-oriented disease that causes you to build up mucus in your body.
Oh, in your lungs, yeah.
And so you're in your lungs, and so it's you need to have some sort of regimen in place to combat that. There's an exercise regimen, there's a diet regimen. It's a lot of, I don't know how they keep track of all of it. And then in addition to the pharmaceutical regimen that they have, a lot of different medications they have to take.
Wow.
And, both girls, grew up in the same household with it. And that's another kind of a interesting point is that, they can't really be within 5 feet of each other.
Oh, my.
So, so that's, they've always had bedrooms on opposite sides of the house. And I'm sure there's other, people with CF that can have similar stories. There's actually a movie out for anybody who wants to learn about the disease called 5 Feet Apart. And it's about a young couple who met in a treatment hospital while they were both getting treatment. And sometimes these hospitalizations are weeks and weeks long. So these people, these mostly children, young adults with CF, are hospitalized for 2, 3, 4 weeks or longer until they can get some control over whatever it is that may be flaring up and going on. So these two young people met in the hospital, and it helped me understand exactly the extent of the disease and what people go through to try to manage it and control it. Because I can tell you from watching Alexandria and Andriana, you would never know. They don't talk about it. They don't, they don't let it affect their lives.
Wow.
Achieved so much. They're very inspiring young ladies. I'm so excited for everyone else in the event to meet them because they have great stories to tell as well. And really all CF warriors do. And that's why they call them warriors, because of everything they power through and endure. And they still manage to lead great lives and achieve, academic awards and athletic awards. And I mean, I could just brag about these two young ladies all day long. They're truly amazing. They inspire me. They really do. They make me want to do bigger and better things.
I am ever so
and
grateful.
What a lot of people don't realize, Riscala, actually a lot of CF patients end up needing double lung transplants. So some of these younger folks are getting some, very severe surgeries, and then you've got rejection drugs, and and that's sometimes the only way that they survive. And so we're trying to keep people from having to avoid, that traumatic by just health and ocean air and salt and everything like that.
Wow. Well, Carol, thank you for taking time to call in and sharing with us. And we didn't even get to talk about your wonderful product. I apologize.
But that's okay.
The product
That's
is
all right.
is called Mermaid Vodka, and you can find them online. I think it's Mermaid Vodka USA, right? Is that what it is? Mermaid Vodka USA?
Our website is mermaidvodkausa.com. We're on Facebook under Mermaid Vodka, Instagram under Mermaid Vodka, Twitter under Mermaid Vodka. We've got all the social media covered, and all of our information's on our website, which is also linked to social media. So we've got a big event coming up in Sarasota on March 21st for a school for the autistic and developmentally challenged called The Haven. So we're very pleased to be a sponsor for that event.
Wow.
Support that cause. I have a nephew who's on the spectrum, so it's very near and dear to my heart. But we try to support the communities where where our product is sold, and be as supportive and good of a business partner as we can to the local communities. So thank you so much for having me on. I know you're coming up on a hard break.
It's an honor and a privilege, my dear. And I have 2 of my grandkids are in the spectrum as well. So thank you. I greatly appreciate that. The more awareness we can bring to that, that's something else that's happening at an alarming rate. And I could spend an entire show about that. Thank you, Carol. Greatly appreciate it. Let me let Carolyn say goodbye to you, and we'll go to a short break.
Absolutely, Carol. Get back over to the East Coast. We can jump on these paddleboards and start training.
All right, I'm heading your way. We got our tracker on board, so we know we're going in the right direction, and we'll be safe.
You got it. I'll walk you on the way over.
Your host,
Bye.
Stevens.
Bye-bye.
Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high-quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
While other stations just talk a good game, we win it.
Hey, sounds like somebody's having a lot of fun. Fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing in Florida. Where the sun shines all day. It just caught me a grouper. So I'm fishing in Florida. Oh yeah. Fishing in Florida.
Good morning from the Sunshine State. Broadcasting from Palm Beach County, it's the Fishing in Florida Show. Sundays from 8 to 10 a.m. on the WCET FM network. And now, here's your host, Riscala.
All right, we are back. It is the Fishing in Florida Show. This is the final segment. Thank you so very much to each of you who take the time to allow us to share with you the information that we have here on Sunday mornings. A big thank you to WCET, our home network, 101.7 Columbia Talk Radio, HighPoint Radio, 1690 AM out of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, KYAH, 540 AM out of Utah, Utah's Talk Authority, and Marina Rock Radio. They are Yacht Rock's sister station. We've been moved over to Marina Rock. They find us a little more appealing over there than at the Yacht Rock. But both of those stations are tune-in stations. So if you have the TuneIn app, you can find us through TuneIn, or you can go to our Facebook page and click on Contact Us, or you can go to www.wcetfm.com, which is our internet home network, and you can go there and you can find us there as well. This morning I have Carolyn with Atlas Trax as my co-host. It's an honor and privilege to have you on, Carolyn. Thank you for taking the time and all that you do in the background and connecting me with all of these wonderful people. How awesome. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, Rascala. The more people we can get the word out about fishing and the events around town, the more people are going to get out and enjoy them, and the word will spread.
It really is. I've learned so much in doing this show, and in the learning in itself, not only about fishing, but about how fishing has kind of interwoven itself into many aspects, many avenues of our society, and using that to help other people. That's what I think is awesome. All right, I think I have Angelia on. Angelia, the Florida Salty Cowgirl. Good morning, my dear. How are you?
Very good morning to all of you. I am doing great, thank you. Finally.
Hot dog.
You sound great, Angelia. Good morning.
Thank you. Back at work, back on the water, happy. About 3 weeks off the water really had me twitching and dinging, so I'm back to being happy. Although this weekend, I don't know why, but Mother Nature has given us some weird twists and turns of weather this season down in here in the Keys, and she really likes to hit us on Saturdays and Sundays, which stinks because that's when we get a lot of our tourists. But of course, this weekend has been terrible windy, and today is overcast and not pretty and windy as heck. And I don't think there's probably any boats out there today. I'm not out there.
Yeah.
But it has been a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful week. And I kind of wanted to share a little something. I'm usually always passionately talking about fishing, which will never stop, I promise you all. But I got an opportunity to do a little something different. And you guys know I'm very passionate about the wildlife all around the Keys. And I was very inspired by Miss Whitney Wemett's section this morning with the Coral Reef Foundation.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know I love to fish that reef, and I know that a very large portion of our fish live on that reef. And I've shared lately that there's so many sea turtles and rays and action on the reef with wildlife that it's just inspiring to see our reefs come back to life. And thank goodness for the Coral Reef Foundation and other people like them for doing that for us. But lately, I'm always the first to admit that I don't spend much time on the bay side of our Keys, on the backcountry is what we call it. And lately, not only did I get an opportunity to work on a different kind of boat, which always thrills me, and it's a sailboat, and I am not a sailor. Not yet, anyway. But we've been doing some cruising and sailing in the backcountry, basically in my backyard here in Key Largo, which is just amazing. And it's kind of weird being on a boat working and you can see the back of your house. But the sailing not only has been wonderful, but I've been doing a lot of kayaking around some of the smaller mangrove keys in the Everglades National Park back here. And the wildlife is just amazing. The fish have been everywhere. The manatees are out there in droves, and every day we see large pods of dolphins. And
Wow.
It's just been great to see the life on the backcountry. Yeah. There's just as much life back there as there is on the Atlantic side, if not more. The fish nurseries up in the mangrove forests are just thick and beautiful. So it makes me very hopeful for our fisheries down here. And like I said, the marine mammals are just everywhere. It's so inspiring. We had a large pod of dolphins that surrounded the sailboat for a while, and we're in like 4 or 5 feet of water. And these are large bottlenose dolphins, and they're just barrel rolling and playing and interacting as a little group there. And it's so much fun. It's so nice to watch. So, yeah, the waters in the Keys look very, very healthy these days. I couldn't be happier about it because I'm definitely passionate about the water down here.
There's a special feeling when, of course, it ruins the fishing if you're fishing, but there's a special feeling when they show up, when the dolphins show up.
The dolphins almost put on a show for you. It's
Yeah.
really amazing.
Yeah.
It's like they know you're there. They love the boats. you don't have to worry about hurting them like you do the manatees,
Yeah.
because Lord knows they're quick.
Yeah.
And to see them interacting as a group and in a communal type of way, and you know that they're playing and having fun, and like I said, they're almost putting on a show for you. I mean, they come.
They are in a
to
way.
the boat.
There were several times that, my favorite place out there, in Alligator Reef, they would be around that area. We would be cruising. We might be pulling plastic or something like that, and they would show up, and I would be at the front of the boat, at the highest point I could get, so I could see if there's anything floating, so we could go find something that's floating. We could circle it. They would be swimming upside down, looking at me as I'm standing at the front of the boat, and we're cruising along at maybe 5, 6, 7 knots. And you can't help but think that they're smiling at you because of the way that their mouth is. But they're literally swimming upside down, looking up at me as I'm standing on the boat trying to find something floating. It's like I said, when they show up fishing, you can forget fishing, but you can certainly enjoy their company because they are a riot.
Yeah, you almost have a personal experience with them. It's really amazing.
Yep.
And speaking about Alligator Reef, the amount of very large, and by very large, I mean almost the size of a small dining room table, the amount of very large loggerhead turtles on Alligator Reef these days is just amazing.
Wow.
And they eat jellyfish, and there's a lot of jellyfish in the water right now.
Huh.
But I've never in my life seen them stay on the surface so long, so big, so beautiful. And Alligator Reef has just been thick with sea turtles lately, and I mean big loggerheads. I
Wow.
mean, it's just been really, really, really inspiring to see that type of life all around the reef. Just really, really nice to see. The sea turtles, we all know, are a sign of a healthy reef. So, welcome, stay. Stay healthy.
I don't know why, but I thought sea turtles were more of like see, I'm ignorant. This is why I like doing this show. I thought they like kind of like vegetation more than anything else. I didn't realize they eat jellyfish.
They
Wow.
eat the jellyfish. They love the jellyfish.
Wow.
And there's been a lot of jellyfish out there lately. And they usually when they see the boat, they go down, and you don't get to really observe them very much.
Mhm.
And you darn sure don't get to videotape them or anything. And they have just been staying up on the surface, eating jellyfish and lifting their heads way out of the water. It kind of looks like a little Loch Ness monster when they do that.
Wow.
And they're way bigger than you would ever think. And just amazing, just really, really nice to see. And I never get tired of it. I've been out here, for years, 5 days a week, and the dolphins, the manatees, the turtles, the fish, I never get tired of any of it. It still makes my heart thunder.
No.
Yeah, there's something about it. It's a very blessed feeling to be able to be close with these animals, and like you said, have them rolling around underneath the boat, looking right up at you, and it's just really amazing.
I'm envious of you, my dear. All right. Well, we're rapidly running out of time. So before we do that, Angelia, if you would give the information out, because Angelia is a guide, by the way. I didn't have an opportunity to tell people that. She's a guide. She's a professional captain. She is licensed. She knows her stuff down there. If you want to do some serious fishing, or if you want to do some comical fishing, she'll do that for you as well.
Absolutely.
How do people get a hold of you?
You can always find me on Facebook at anything that says Florida Salty Cowgirl. On Instagram, Florida Salty Cowgirl Angelia. And FloridaSaltyCowgirl.com will be back up this week. Thank goodness. So, yes, you can always reach me. Or you can reach me on my personal phone at 813-610-0078.
All right, my dear. Let me give Carolyn an opportunity to say goodbye to you. Thank you, Angelia. I wish you an awesome day, my dear. Carolyn, I'll give you an opportunity to say goodbye, and I'll say goodbye to you as well. Thank you, Carolyn. Greatly appreciate your time.
Absolutely, Angelia. I'm so glad you're feeling much better this week, and I do look forward to seeing you down there in about 6 weeks.
You got it, girl. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for allowing us to share with you this morning. You've been listening to the Fishing in Florida show with Riscala and Carolyn, and we'll be back next week. Archives will be set up on the Facebook page, and you can look up all of our previous shows there. Thank you so much. We'll be back in a week.